What is it that creates true change in our lives? The first requirement for us to change our lives is the willingness to make a decision. And by the true definition of decision, decision includes action. It means your whole beingness aligns with this decision, a true decision that you're making for your life. And what's fascinating is you talk to most people think that it takes a long time to change your life. Like changing your life takes a long time. That's what the average human being thinks. And the funny part is it doesn't. Your life changes in a moment. Your life changes in an instant. Let me give you an example. Like the moment you see a potential love interest, the moment I saw my wife, we didn't know each other at the time, of course. The moment I saw her and I was scared, my stomach was full of butterflies, and I had the decision, should I go talk to her or not? The moment I decided, yes, I'm going to go talk to her, my life changed forever. The moment you decide to change your health, you're going to quit drinking, or you're going to start exercising, you're going to do something, and it's a true decision, your life, in that moment, your life changes. The moment you decide to enroll in a certification program or take a class, and your life is forever changed. You see, what takes people a long time is getting ready to make the decision. Isn't that true? Is the readiness, like, am I ready to make a decision? Am I ready to actually go for this thing? Like, I don't know, can I do this? Can I really be the one? And all the doubts and all the fears and all the reasons not to is what usually holds people back. We talked about the precursor to all change is decision. But what decision happens in a moment, and what takes people long time to change their life isn't the decision, it's getting ready to make that decision. And so I'm going to share with you something called the why now formula, which helps give us leverage over all the resistance we might have to making a decision. All of the doubt, all of the fear, all of the reasons that say now's not the good time, don't wait, don't go for the dream, all of that stuff. This why now formula gives you leverage so that you can make an empowered decision now in this moment. How many of you believe that if you had more energy and power to make the decision that you know you want to make, that it would help you. It would make a difference in your lives. It would transform you. And you know that it would transform potential clients' lives. Absolutely. So that's what this formula is going to be, very powerful. And so let me give you an example of my why now, one of my why now moments. Okay. So I graduated. I knew I wanted to speak and teach and coach. And I had this idea for a book on relationships. And as I got my master's degree in education, I became a biology teacher, and I wanted to take a little break from teaching in schools. I wanted to actually, have an adventure. I didn't want to go right back into teaching because I just graduated from school. And so I made myself a promise. I said, I'm only going to work for 1 year. I was going to go to Mexico, get a job in the hotel industry, learn another language, and just work for 1 year, and then come back and get all my passion, which is teaching and speaking and writing. And so I moved to Mexico, and as a 23-year-old kid, the job I could get was selling timeshare. So I'm living in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. I'm selling timeshare, and I'm really bad at it in the beginning. And it's definitely not what my soul is called to do. Timeshare is a fine career for many people. For me, it was not what I was called to do. But eventually I started to get better and better. And at the end of that first year, I ended up generating $100,000 in income. And I'm looking at my bank account and I'm thinking, maybe I should stay another year. Maybe I shouldn't just go right back to teaching, And so I stayed a whole nother year. And that next year I generated $150,000. And every day I would wake up and I knew I wasn't doing what I was put on this planet to do, but the money was good. And I'd convinced myself, I looked for all the reasons that what I was doing was making a difference. And I was selling vacations, and that was family time and bonding. And I was really had to work with myself to get enthusiastic about what I was selling, because I wasn't passionate about it at all. And at the end of the second year, I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, maybe I should stay a little bit longer. I stayed 3 years. I had promised myself, I had promised my calling, I had promised God and me. I said, I'm only going to stay a year. And here I was 3 years in. And one day I walk in and I sit at the desk, and there's a new guy who had joined the team. He'd been on the team a couple weeks. Man is like late 50s. And I'm 25 years old now. And he sits down. I'm like, hey, buddy, how's it going? We start chatting. And I'm like, how long you been doing this? He's like, oh, I've been selling timeshare for 30 years. And I'm like, whoa, 30 years? That's a long time, man. You must really love it. And he goes, no, I don't love it, man. I don't love it at all. I was like, what? You've been doing this 30 years? Like, no, but the money's good. I mean, I'm making 6 figures every year. So, I kind of live for the weekends and live for vacation time. And a pit just formed right in the center of my stomach because I could see myself in this guy. This was going to be me in 30 years. This guy was lived the exact same journey I had just lived, and kind of convinced myself that, just another year, just another year, just another year. And that's what this guy did. It was just another year turned into 30 years. I hadn't yet made a decision. A true decision for what I told myself what I wanted to do, but telling yourself what you want to do and making a decision to do it are two very different things. And in that moment, I had enough pain, enough fear of what that path would lead like, a life that was filled with regret of not going after my dream, a life that was filled with purposelessness, not feeling on purpose with what I felt I was called to do. That did I want that to be my life? And I was like, hell no. And so that day I made a decision. I drew a line in the proverbial sand and I said, enough is enough. I am not going to do this the rest of my life. I don't know what exactly the next journey looks like. And that's always the fear, isn't it? You don't know exactly what the steps are or how it's all going to work out. But I said, enough is enough. And that day I quit my job. I gave 30 days notice to my boss. And I said, in 30 days, I'm moving home. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to speak and coach and write. And he was like, good luck, man. But I was done. I was decided. And I moved home. And here's the irony. I had no idea the amazing adventure, the calling, that it was there for such an important reason. I had no idea. Here I am just 13 short years later than all of that. And no idea that what would happen for me is I would go on to becoming a best-selling author with Simon & Schuster. If you would have told me that I would have a multi-million-dollar coaching business, I would tell you, no way, like that's crazy. Like the big money's over here in timeshare. If you were to tell me that I'd be able to work from anywhere in the world, I would have said you were nuts. And yet that's exactly what's been able to happen. If you would have told me that I would have had social media channels that had over 1.5 million subscribers and been able to reach over 100 million people, I would have said you're crazy. I would have never believed it. And yet that's exactly what has happened. I didn't know how to do all of that stuff. All I knew how to do was take the next step. And that's our job. That's your job. And that's my job. In making a real decision, you don't have to know the entire path. But what we do have to know is one direction of what we would love and be able to take one step forward.